Good afternoon, and thank you for joining. We're just gonna wait just 1 minute as I pen this comment. Beautiful. Good afternoon. My name is Ayele. I'm so happy to be back here again on the Whitman-Walker Real Talk page. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, Whitman-Walker's Community Health Department has expanded its outreach efforts to the social media platform. We cover various topics about HIV, sexual health practices, access to care, social determinants of health, and public health interventions. The community health team is here to educate and support you. So good afternoon again. My name is Ayele Ba. I'm the Community Health Education and Training Coordinator at Whitman-Walker Health. Today's live is about one of the most important words in the world, at least when it comes to boundary setting, and that's no. And how convenient that we get to talk about it during November. So knowing how to set appropriate boundaries can make the difference in whether or not any relationship succeeds. And I don't just mean romantic relationships. This means friends, family, coworker, any type of relationship. All of these relationships and connections are important. They're the people in and out of our families who we share these mutually beneficial, rewarding, and trusting bonds. It's our circle. Our friendships provide us with the support, love, and nurturing that we need to navigate life. They keep us grounded, real, in touch with our life goals and motivations. No doubt about it, your circle can be everything. And I love my circle. However, those special relationships can all actually be strained over time without definitive boundaries. When boundaries lack or wane, it can cause a disruption in the necessary balance of all of our relationships. And there are aspects to all healthy relationships, and one of the 6 aspects of healthy relationships is communication. So effective communication, especially when it comes to boundaries, is quintessential. So setting healthy relationship boundaries may feel awkward at first, but again, it's integral for any relationship that's going to withstand the test of time. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about how setting these mutual beneficial boundaries in your connections can help to endure a lifetime of rewards without faltering during the challenging times. Knowing how to set boundaries can help to maintain these long-lasting and meaningful relationships in your life, but keep in mind that they can be fluid and modified as you and your friendships, connections, or relationships evolve. Most people think that boundaries are set by telling people what the limits are, but really it's something that you first must create within yourself. Having the confidence to say no is one important aspect of creating boundaries. But it begins by knowing what you do and you do not want. So we're going to discuss a couple tips on setting boundaries and how to maintain and what to do when you feel like they're being disrespected. There are 5 different types of appropriate boundaries that you can set in your connections, being time, material, physical, emotional, and intellectual. So setting boundaries with your connections can seem stressful at first, especially if the friendship has already lasted a long time, but it's often needed and a very beneficial way to nurture a healthy relationship on a deeper level. Be sure to let your friend know that the appropriate boundaries you're setting are an attempt to better the relationship, not weaken it. In fact, it will benefit your friendship and mental health. So those 5 types of boundaries, again, were the time, material, physical, emotional, and intellectual. And so time boundaries may need to be set for friends who always show up late for planned events. That's me. But get angry when you tell them they're busy, cancel at the last minute, leaving you hanging. And you can set these time boundaries by having the time that you will be available. Let those know that time is precious for both you and for the time is precious for both of you, so you don't feel like anybody is wasting time. Next would be material boundaries. So this is like if you have somebody who uses your things without asking first, or using them in a disrespectful way, not caring for things the same way that you would care about them, then that's a time to set some material boundaries. You can accomplish this by saying, like, yes, you can use my camera, but can I have it back tomorrow? Or, I'm sorry, I can't lend you any cash right now. Is there another way I can help? Or, I'm sorry, I don't share my drinks and food. Me. And this can be used for a variety of things. Sorry, I don't let people use my car. Whatever the case may be, it's important that you represent your wishes with assertiveness. It's okay to insist that your boundaries are respected. So next would be physical boundaries. We are all entitled to our own bubble. I remember back when I used to take care of children, I used to always say, nobody should get in your bubble, or keep everyone out of your private square. If a friend is touchy-feely and you're not okay with that, you shouldn't hesitate to set that physical boundary. Even if if you're not a hug person and they're a hugger, it can be about your personal space, like your bedroom, and setting a physical boundary can be like, I'm not a hugger, I'm not a toucher. Please don't touch me that way. Or please don't take this the wrong way, but it makes me uncomfortable when you this. This room is my personal space. Please knock before walking in. But anytime someone invades your personal space, let them know and ask them to be aware of and change their behavior. The next type of boundary would be an emotional boundary. If you're overwhelmed with your own emotions and life challenges, then it can be difficult to recognize a friend's emotional needs or validate their feelings. If you're unable to respond to someone else's needs or unable to hold space for one of your connections at any given moment, you can say things like, sorry, please know I love you, but this is not a good time for me to talk. Or, this is a tough topic for me to discuss right now. Can we talk about this another time? Or can we talk about something else? Or, I'm sorry you're going through a tough time, but I can't be there for you the way you need me to be right now. Perhaps here are some other options. And because yes, friends and family are supposed to be there for each other. However, sometimes it's not possible, and that's okay. Next would be intellectual boundaries. Friends need to have mutual respect for others' ideas, thoughts and thoughts without being dismissive. With that being said, you have every right to shut down a conversation if you realize it's heading south and ultimately won't be healthy for you or your headspace. So you can say things along the lines of, I understand what you're saying, but I don't agree with you. Or maybe we can drop this conversation. We don't seem to be agreeing. Or I don't mind if you're disagreeing with me, but please don't insult me. I also had a professor one time who said something to me that I always remember. Professor Coleman, he used to always say, we may not be able to see eye to eye, but we can always speak heart to heart. So that's something that you can bring up in those sorts of situations as well. And to let your friends know that if you're fine with having differences of opinions, but that you'll continue to appreciate their uniqueness, even though you may not have the same point of view. So again, when it comes to boundaries in general, to all of these different types of boundaries, every person has their individual needs, including their needs for closeness, personal space, and whether that be in the different types of boundaries, and the needs to feel nurtured, understood, and autonomous within their relationship or connection. Some want the freedom to be close and comforted. Others want the freedom to be autonomous and unfettered. It's essential that you and your partner know each other's needs and wants, communicate them, and understand them. Knowing what you want and what you feel are skills essential to creating, knowing what you want and what you feel, are skills essential to creating any mutually satisfying connection. I also recognize that these conversations are not easy to have, so I have some tips for you. So without boundaries, friendships can become stressed, fractured, or even broken. And although it may seem awkward at first, setting these healthy friendship boundaries are important for the endurance of any relationship. Here are the 5 smart tips for setting boundaries that can ensure that your relationships remain healthy and rewarding. 1, getting help for these conversations. Especially because I read a quote once that said, that trauma can make setting boundaries difficult and may need therapeutic intervention in order to guide through the process. So don't hesitate with getting help, whether that be with a therapist or that can help talk through talking through setting boundaries with a friend, and you can explore things in your life or from your past that might be contributing to the current issues. And you can also focus on discovering what types of boundaries you should set and work well for you moving forward. Next, another tip, that it would be important to express the value and importance of your friendship, and that the boundary is because you care about the friendship. Because knowing how to set boundaries is not about hurting people's feelings. It's really the opposite. Be sure to let your connections know how much you value the relationship before you start discussing any boundaries. This can help get through the conversation in as non-confrontational of a way as possible. The most important to me is talk to your friend, partner, coworker. Discuss why you're setting boundaries before you make them active. Show respect and let them know what's bothering you. Explain why you feel the boundaries are necessary and ask them what they think. Ask how they feel about it as well. Let them know that it's a two-way street as well, and that you want to respect any boundaries that they might have for you. The next tip would be to be definitive. You need to be explicit in your demands. And when setting healthy boundaries, don't be vague. For instance, instead of saying, "I wish you would listen to me," you could say, "I need you to be a better listener and not talk over me during a conversation." Instead of "please knock," you could say, "I want you to stop walking in without knocking first. I feel like you're invading my privacy." Being direct removes any potential for gray areas that cause issues to resurface in the future. So you just want to say how you feel or say how you feel and mean it. But also be willing to compromise. In some cases, you and a friend may need to admit your differences and meet in the middle. Your friend could have a personal boundary that's opposite of your personal boundary. For instance, if you prefer to communicate via video chats and your friend prefers privacy, and your friend prefers texting, then you'll both have to be willing to compromise. And then, so those were my 5 tips of communicating the boundaries. But what should you do if your boundaries are not being respected or if they're being ignored? Even though it can be scary and an intimidating concept, knowing how to set your boundaries with friends is important for your long-term happiness. Any relationship that's good for you will likely flourish and grow after you set healthy boundaries. Establishing how you'll allow others to treat you is an important step in becoming a stronger and confident in any relationship or connection. A friend worth keeping will understand your needs to have these appropriate boundaries as well. And you are responsible for protecting yourself. If you have a friend who continuously disrespects you or forgets or ignores your boundaries, have a sincere conversation and express yourself. If the boundary crossing continues, it may be time to step away from that connection or toxic relationship, but just be sure you have put ample work into the connection before giving up so you don't have any regrets. Always remember, though, that no is a complete sentence, and you have every right to create and enforce boundaries for your life, and I hope that you remember that during this November. And I also wanted to close on this one idea. I believe it's from Tori Roberts, said that no means everything because yes is expensive. When you say yes, you're committing something of you, whether it's your time, your availability, your energy, and you are a limited resource. So save your yes for things that matter. And the only way you can give enough yeses to win in life is to give a healthy amount of no's. So use your no's and use them to help create your healthy boundaries as well. Thank you so much for joining us today to discuss a bit more about November and setting healthy boundaries in various types of relationships. But before we go, I want to give you a few reminders of the various viruses out here that we are currently fighting as a society. When it comes to COVID-19, RSV, and flu, if you're already vaccinated, congratulations. You've taken a really important step to preventing you, your loved ones, and communities from illness. Multiple variants have soared across the world, and it's totally understandable why you want to keep wearing your mask or to keep distance. No vaccine is 100% effective. More contagious variants are spreading, and there are very few protocols in place to actually verify the status of folks around you. So keep staying alert. If you haven't been vaccinated and you're looking for an appointment, Whitman-Walker Health has the COVID-19 vaccine available. Please reach out to us at 202-207-2480 to make an appointment. If you're having trouble making an appointment, please get in contact with your local health department, and that information as well is on the Whitman-Walker.org website. Again, the website is Whitman-Walker.org. And also would recommend getting information from your local health department, which is on the Whitman-Walker website. Please continue to follow CDC guidelines for mask wearing, quarantining, social distancing, and the like. It's very important that you consider getting the vaccine and discuss precautionary measures with those around you. Please be mindful of masks and keep your distance, but especially if you don't know whether someone has been vaccinated or not. Please also keep in mind that monkeypox has been circulating. While numbers are declining, it's still out here. And I would recommend getting in contact with your local health department for vaccine eligibility and more information on getting the vaccine. Again, there is also more information on the Whitman-Walker.org website. And in DC specifically, you can pre-register for the Mpox vaccine at dchealth.dc.gov/page/monkeypox. They also have several walk-up locations where you can receive the Mpox vaccine, and information on those walk-up sites are also on the Whitman-Walker.org website. Please remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Whitman-Walker, and checking the website, again, www.whitman-walker.org for the most up-to-date information on our services. For more COVID-19 resources and general Whitman-Walker services, please call us at 202-797-4439. Again, please check out the pinned comment below if you're looking for free HIV and STI testing. Please call us at 202-797-4439. And follow some of our programs in Whitman-Walker Health Family at this page, Real Talk DC _ and at No Filter DC, and our general Whitman-Walker Health pages. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care.